Welcome to the time-space calculation for family childcare providers. Here you will learn how to calculate what percentage of your home is used for business. Please note that the information that is provided during today's session is not to replace official guidance from the IRS on the business use of your home or tax advice. All matters you should consult with the IRS or your professional tax preparer when it comes to using the time space for business deductions or for tax purposes. During today's conversation, we will talk through some common questions that we get on the time space calculation, and that is, why should I use it and how does it work? And then lastly, where can I find help on this topic? As a home-based family childcare provider, many of your expenses are for both your business and your personal home use. So how do you figure out how much of those joint expenses are considered business expenses? The answer is simpler than you may think. Using the time-space calculation, family childcare providers can request reimbursement from the Virginia ARPA Child Care Stabilization Grant Program for common expenses incurred by in-home childcare providers, such as your rent or mortgage, property taxes, utilities, and other housing expenses that are necessary for your in-home business, like maintenance and repairs. In addition to being helpful for figuring out your spending for grant purposes, the time-space calculation also determines the percentage of these expenses that you can deduct on your federal income taxes. If you've already have your time-space percentage calculated from last year's taxes, you can actually use that. If you have expenses that are solely dedicated to your business and have no elements of common use, for example, a phone line that is only for the childcare, or the purchase of classroom furniture and supplies for the children, those expenses can be reimbursed actually at 100% of cost and are not subject to the time-space calculation. So just how does the time-space calculation work and how is it calculated? There are just a few simple steps to help you calculate the percentage of your home that is used for business. It considers the amount of time your home is used for business and the space within your home that is used for business. Using the 5 steps that you see here, you can easily determine how much of certain expenses can be reimbursed with grant funds or be deducted on your federal income taxes. And we're going to review each of these steps one by one. Step 1, you'll determine the square footage of the area or areas in your home that you regularly use for your childcare space. Regular use includes areas that may be used all day, such as classroom space, and areas that are regularly used for only part of the day, such as napping or mealtime areas. Any areas used regularly for business count toward your space calculation. You'll add the square footage of each of your regularly used spaces together to determine the area of your home that you use for your childcare business. To calculate square footage, you will first need to measure the length and width of your space. And this is how you'll do that. You'll first fix a tape measure to one end of the longest wall in your space and extend it to the other end. And you'll record that measurement in feet, not inches. Next, you'll fix a tape measure to one end of the shortest wall in your space and extend it to the other end. And you'll record that measurement again in feet. Next, you'll multiply the length measurement by the width measurement to find your total square footage of that space. So for example, if your space is 13 feet long and 10 feet wide, your square footage would be 130 square feet. For oddly shaped spaces, such as rooms with an extra nook or that's filled by a closet, you'll break your room into smaller rectangular blocks using the square footage calculation for each block and then add those totals together. So for step 2, you'll divide the square footage of the space by the square footage of your home to determine a percentage. So you'll take the number of square feet of the childcare space, and remember that's your total spaces. So you've measured all the spaces that you use regularly for childcare. So you're taking that number and you're dividing it by the total square footage of your home. So for example, if you use 500 square feet of your home for childcare, and the home is 1,000 square feet in total, then the result is 0.5. You'll multiply that by 100 to get the percentage, which is 50%. So in this example, the space percentage would be 50%. It's important to note that the square footage for outdoor areas cannot be included in your time-space calculation. However, external spaces that are physically attached to your home that are regularly used for childcare, like a deck, can be included in your space calculation. Step 3, you'll determine the amount of time your home was used for childcare during the year. Calculate how many hours your in-home childcare is open per week, including time you spend preparing and cleaning up when the children are not present. You'll multiply this number by the number of weeks you were open for service and add any work hours you performed in the home while you were closed. For example, if your business is open 10 hours per day for childcare, but you spend an hour before and after cleaning up, that's 12 hours per day, 5 days per week. Let's say you closed for 2 weeks during the year due to the pandemic, but during that time, you spent 10 hours maintaining the childcare space and preparing for reopening. So let's do the math. You work 12 hours per day, 5 days per week, and you multiply that by 50 weeks open, and you're adding the 10 hours when you were closed. And that gives you a total hours performed of 3,010 hours. So step 4, you're going to divide the hours that we just calculated that your home was used for childcare by the total hours in a year. So you're going to take that 3,010 number that we just calculated, and you're going to divide that by 8,760, which is the total number of hours in a year. And that's going to get you 0.344. When you multiply that by 100 to get the percentage, that's 34.4% of your time being spent delivering childcare. So step 5 and the final step is calculating your actual time space percentage. We already have the space percentage of 50% and the time percentage of 34.4%. Now we're going to take the two numbers and multiply them together, which is going to get you 0.172. And when you multiply that by 100 to make it a percentage, that is 17.2%. That's your time space percentage. And this is the multiplier or the percentage that you can apply to your joint home and business expenses for your in-home childcare for reimbursement with grant funds, and even when filing your deductions during your annual tax filing. However, remember, when using your time-space calculation for tax purposes, you are encouraged to view the IRS instructions for Form 8829, which is the expenses for business use of your home, or consult with your professional tax preparer. Please visit the Virginia Early Childhood Foundation's ARPA webpage with resources to help strengthen your business. Resources include easy-to-read written guides, webinars, recorded tutorials like today's, and more. Through business coaching, providers can receive tailored feedback on topics as they are scheduled. And while coaching will not provide you with specific details pertaining to your tax situation nor financial advice, you may find that the strategies may empower you to be better informed for calculating what percentage of your home and time is used for business. If you would like a deeper look into the strategies discussed today or other business topics, please view the coaching calendar on the VECF ARPA's webpage and register to join a small group coaching session. Thank you.